So in this PowerPoint, we're basically going to talk about Ted Bundy, talk about his biography, some of his behaviors. We're going to define rather, what narcissistic personality disorder is, and some of the links and ties it has, in with Ted Bundy. We're going to identify a possible origin of Ted Bundy's behavior, maybe what led him to his crimes. Um, we're also going to identify perhaps like some assessments that we would give to Ted Bundy, like administer to him. And we're also going to give a brief outline of possible treatment recommendations for Ted Bundy. So a little bit about Ted Bundy's biography. Ted Bundy was born November 24th, 1946. Ted Bundy was a serial rapist and murderer. I recall reading on a few articles, he was very handsome, so that was one tool that he used to kind of lure his victims in, if, you would say. But I would read some of these articles and they would say he was very charming and very handsome, and then but he had obviously he had this very dark side to him. But Ted Bundy, he was convicted of 3 Florida slings, but he confessed to more than 30 murders between 1977 and 1978. Ted Bundy, he was executed at the Florida State Prison on January 24th, 1989, which, it's relieving, but, it's really scary that someone like this, lived, on this earth, just really no remorse. That's kind of how, we link in, some of this information to narcissism. So this slide is going to be talking about narcissism and Ted Bundy. So people with narcissistic personality disorder have an inflated sense of themselves. Like in other words, they're very, all about me type of attitude, and they have an extreme need for admiration, whether it be, well, from others, extreme sense of admiration from others. But we see this a lot, like in Hollywood, like in movies, with celebrities. But I think Ted Bundy, he had a different way, of links. He had different links, between narcissism. I think it was kind of in a different way that he, kind of portrayed this personality. The DSM classifies personality disorders in 3 different clusters. Narcissism falls into cluster B, which deals with personalities that are overly dramatic, emotional, or erratic. Ted Bundy's, personality was definitely erratic. Just kind of out of nowhere, just really just, you don't know what to expect. And I think that's what a lot of people, during that time period, when he was going and, doing these rapes, they were just very on edge. I recall reading this article about Ted Bundy and some of his crimes, and he would, in some instances, he would rape women with foreign objects, which is very uncalled for, and it just kind of shows you, the twisted mind, of Ted Bundy. I think narcissism really, it really meshes with Ted Bundy. You could really see it because Ted Bundy has such a high sense of himself that he actually thought that he would be able to get away with these murders. He was very handsome and very charming, and I think that all of that, that inflated sense of himself really got to his head, and he wouldn't stop. Obviously, he, confessed to more than 30 murders. He really felt as, superior, and he really thought that, he would be able to, escape judgment for, what he has done. So I think that's, that's really, how Ted Bundy and narcissism really come together. So.
Treatment approaches for narcissistic personality disorder. For the psychodynamic point of view, Freud focused on problems working with the Oedipus complex as the foundation for personality disorders. Evidence supports the effectiveness of therapy, and psychologists help people become aware of their roots and aware of their self-defeating behavior patterns. They also pick up on skills and ways of relating to others. Cognitive behavioralists focus on changing patients' maladaptive behaviors and their dysfunctional thought patterns. Therapists are using modeling and reinforcement to help patients develop more adaptive behaviors to go back into the social world. In the biological approach, drug therapy is not very likely to help treat it directly, but some people experience anxiety and depression, and antidepressants and anti-anxiety drugs usually help them during that process.